Today, we're talking about med kits. That's right, everybody. We're talking about med kits today. It is going to be a lot of fun, and I believe very important as well. You don't want to be thinking about what you want in your kit while you're trying to stop somebody's bleeding with your socks. And quite frankly, I think there's some ethical and some moral conversations that we can have attached to Christians who carry guns having med kits. Anyway, let's jump into the episode. It's going to be great right now. All right, everybody, let's jump in here as quick as we can. You might want to know that I am a two-time EMT and have had a lot of medical experience. I worked on some pretty heinous stuff, things that I don't really care to relive during this segment. So let's jump in here. Let's clear the board. We'll start from the beginning and we will work our way up to the best. Okay, this is my first attempt, and it's actually, I'll be really honest with you, this has been piratized. I've robbed stuff out of this kit. This was my beginning attempt at putting a chaplain kit together. This is a pretty rudimentary kit, you guys, and actually I'm very dissatisfied with its current setup, but that's really okay because I have way better kits. This is actually about to become just a pouch. Probably have some work gloves and those kinds of things tucked in here. This is gonna not be a medical kit for much longer. This was given to me as well as given to a load of officers by a nonprofit organization. We'll go ahead and jump into this kit, and I tell you, from immediately, you're gonna see that this is already hands down a much more extensive kit. I mean, from the straight out of the gate, you've got a nasal pharyngeal airway. If you don't know what a nasal pharyngeal airway is, it's a very tiny amount of training that you need to be able to use this. If you've got somebody busted in the mouth, and it's hard to get that, or you can't crank their neck back or something to open up their airway, you can cram this, just hit this with a little bit of lube. In fact, I've got a little bit of lube here in this kit. Or you can just spit on it, just stick it in your mouth, get it wet, and shove it up their nose. If they're dying, they really don't care if they've got your spit up their nose. I promise you that. And if I'm dying, I don't care if I've got your spit up my nose. You can spit up my nose if you need to. So you just slide this in your mouth, get this nice and wet, and just cram this up their nostril. And it is a great way to create a stable airway. Tell me in the comment section below if you want a training on how to use a nasal pharyngeal airway. Maybe I'll shove it down my own nose for you sometime. Anyway, so just kind of working top to bottom here. We've got the airway, got some lube to go with that airway. Somebody thought about putting in a fresh scent antimicrobial hand wipe. We've got another cat tourniquet. They're better than taking your belt off. I'm just gonna tell you something, the difference between these cat tourniquets. I wanna show you some things. We got different serial numbers, different lots, okay? Which is totally fine. But you know, you have to be really careful about buying these things from China. You get these things on eBay or you get these things on Amazon, and sometimes you can get them and they're not legit. They were built in China, and you go to crank on this tightener and it snaps. You're never getting it tight. I'm sorry to tell you. So be real careful where you get these. And I'm sure that I got this on Amazon, and I just kind of don't trust it. This is going to be a little bit more reputable. It's got some paperwork with it. We've got ourselves some vacuum sealed Z-fold hemostatic dressing. This is going to help you do some wound care, stop some bleeding. Got a much bigger pack stuffed up underneath here. So we got some NAR, emergency trauma, field dressing, ETD. This is the 4-inch flat stuff. This is from North American Rescue. So also fantastic thing to have in your med kit. They've got a little bit higher quality gloves tucked up in here. I kind of don't want to unspool those for you. Sorry. Those are going to stay tucked in here. And then, in my opinion, a very, very important thing to have inside of your IFAK is the Hyphen is a great company. They do awesome stuff. This is a must-have when you're talking about gunshot wounds. There's almost always going to be an entry and an exit wound, and so having two to be able to address the entry and the exit is very, very, very important. Okay, so that's a pretty basic kit, but it's really advanced for what it is. It's not a terrible kit by any stretch of the imagination. Now I'm gonna save the best for last. So I'm gonna jump ahead in the line now, and we're gonna talk a little bit about my ankle rig, okay? Now, the ankle rig is a super great rig. It's very concealable, and you can have it on your person all the time. I have this in my truck all the time, and this is a way more extensive kit, but I will tell you right now, it's not going to beat having that on your person. Having that on your person is a big, big deal. So let's talk this, and then we'll talk about the bigger kit in just a second. Okay, now the other thing you need to do when you're talking about the med kit, officers, you could have this on your ankle under your duty pants. They make this in black, so it wouldn't stand out if your pants kind of come up a little bit. You're showing a little ankle, trying to find a date out there on the road. This is a great kit, and I've got the extension. You can see it's kind of grody. I actually wear it, right? So let's go through this kit just really quickly, and we will see what we've got. This is going to be a little bit less. This is going to be a little bit less than that kit, but pretty close, really. And it's got one thing that I really like that the other kit doesn't have. Now, tape. I love having tape in an IFAK. You can create all kinds of seals and all kinds of awesome stuff. This is dirty because it gets carried on my leg, but it's still functional tape. Really, really good stuff. Probably not as good as Gorilla Tape, honestly, but some kind of duct tape is really, really nice. Get some tape in your kit. It's really super good. This is a kind of halfway goofy. This is a TK4L tourniquet. I don't love it, but it's better than nothing, and it does fit inside of this ankle rig. I don't love having 14 different kinds of tourniquets. I'm just gonna be honest with you. I think it's kind of dumb. So I'm telling you right now that I've got some dumb going on that needs to get fixed, okay? That's just how it's gonna go. This is I've debated carrying this for a while. It came with this kit, and I do like having it. This is a tension pneumothorax needle. This takes a pretty extensive amount of training, guys. This is not just something that you're going to be able to whip out. But I'm telling you right now, if you're not comfortable running it, you may not need to carry it. It's going to be pretty unlikely you're going to run into somebody who's going to have the confidence to plunge a needle inside of somebody's chest and release the tension from a pneumothorax. But it is handy to have around, and just because I have been trained to do it, I think it's kind of nice to have it. When you're talking about chest wounds and chest seals and those kinds of things, that's a really handy dandy tool to have. But it's not a requirement. You could also put a pin light in that hole right there, and then you'd always have a little flashlight, which I highly recommend. You should definitely have a flashlight on you pretty much all the time. That is a pretty important piece of medical equipment. So we got the Cell-X Rapid Hemostatic Z-Fold gauze ribbon. It's a pretty little guy. It's not very big, but you cram that into a wound, pack it up. It's definitely gonna help. It's better than nothing, folks. And then we've got some Z-Pak. Well, actually, this is an Israeli bandage. If you've never seen an Israeli bandage function, you should check out some YouTube videos on that. I'll try to throw some links in, recommendations. I'm not going to crack this open because I do want to keep it mostly sterile, but I should grab some training gauzes, and then I can do a little bit of showing you how that works. But that's a pretty great little kit. Again, it's not quite as extensive as the last kit, but it is really not bad. And this is the Granddaddy IFAK kit right here. This is a kit built by a company called Contingency, and I love those guys. They're out of San Antonio, Texas. Absolutely spectacular. This kit is always Velcroed to a panel. It comes, you got a little hair. This stuff, I really use this stuff, guys. It's got a panel with a MOLLE attachment. It sits in my truck on my Gray Man tactical board, and I can just grab this and just rip it right off, and it is super fantastic. This kit was a part of a class at Thunder Ranch, put on in conjunction with Contingency, and this is about $150. I'm not gonna play. This is an expensive kit, okay? But it is absolutely worth it in my opinion. This has got everything you need to really be able to functionally treat a blowout. And when I say blowout, of course I mean gunshot, right? So what do we got in here? Let's take a look. All right, so we've got some self-adhesive wrap, just some Coban stuff. We've got some triangular bandages. Golly, you can do so much with a triangular bandage. We got 2 of those. We got 2 of the soft T tourniquets. This is the heavy duty Cordura style nylon stuff. Got a place for you to write the time on it when you applied the tourniquet. That's going to be really helpful to the Air Life or to the doctor that gets a hold of this patient after you turn them over. Having 2 of them, guys, is a big plus, okay? I highly recommend carrying 2 tourniquets. If you were to have a failure, and this is not going to fail, you've at least got a backup. Remember the old saying, 2 is 1 and 1 is none, right? There. Just some basic packing material, guys. You've got a wound, you've got a gunshot, you throw some packing material in it, you can throw the tourniquet on. It's super important stuff. Combat gauze, very handy stuff. This is the same stuff that I robbed out of that other kit and I threw in my hunting pack, right? Because I'm not going to carry this kit in my hunting pack. Got ourselves an Israeli bandage. Very important. It's sterile. It's vacuum sealed. You can see that all of this stuff has still got its vacuum to it. This bag does a great job of protecting your gear. I can't tell you how many times before I had my Gray Man tactical board, how many times I found this kit rolling around on the floorboard, getting stepped on and kicked by my son. Now I can already tell you that this kit needs a little bit of restock, right? Because I'm out of gloves. I used up my gloves on an accident a little while back, and this kit is really good that I'm going through it right now because this kit needs some TLC, right? It needs a little tune-up, doesn't it? Got ourselves a nice foil space blanket because what's one of the primary things you want to treat if you're dealing with a gunshot, you're dealing with blood loss, you're dealing with shock, right? And keeping them warm is a super important piece of the puzzle. Now, if you notice, this is the only kit that had its own shears. Now, I've got a set of shears right here on my vest as well. This has its very own dedicated set of shears. Why? Because when I cut off a pair of bloody pants or I cut off somebody's bloody shirt, I'm throwing these things away. I'm not using these on the next patient. These things are garbage after they're contaminated, right? So inside of that scenario, this has also got some tape. This is more medical tape. I might end up switching that out for a roll of Gorilla Tape, but right now it's got a great, and it's in there. It's on a little tether, and it's got a zip tie around it, so I can grab that and I can pull off some tape and cut it, and my tape doesn't go rolling down the highway when it's on when I'm on an accident scene or if I'm next to a gunshot. This kit also has a nasopharyngeal airway. Got a little thing of lube attached to it right here. Really super nice chest seal twin pack. It's very helpful. Got the 1, 2, 3, 4 instructions on the back in case you forget how to run it. Guys, these are not hard to learn how to use. 2 seconds on YouTube, you will figure out exactly how to work these guys. And it's like throwing on a sticker that can save somebody's life. I'm not kidding. When you start talking about stopping the bleed, oh look, it's got Richard's business card right there. I'll cover up his cell phone number, but there's the office just in case you want to give him a buzz. Let's see if I can pull that up. Can we get that in focus? Yeah, look at that. Contingency. Guys, these folks are amazing. They're not a sponsor, but they are my friends, and I totally respect the kits that they put together and the trainings that they put together. They also do some great TCCC training Absolutely fantastic stuff, okay? Please, please, please contact these guys if you want to get a kit like this. I think they're about 150 bucks and they're so worth it. I am not joking you. You have to be able to run this thing blindfolded, and they made us run it blindfolded. It was absolutely amazing. I can't tell you how many times I've jumped out of the truck since I've had this kit, going up to a car accident. This tourniquet right here almost got applied last year to a compound fracture, but we were able to get the bleeding under control, and the ambulance got there in time. I was the first responder. It was a total cluster. I'm so glad that I got help when I did, because I was all alone for about 10 minutes. Zip it up the same way every time. I keep my zippers at the top. Every time I know where they're at, and then I can throw this cover over, and I know how to rock and roll this kit. I can do it blindfolded, and I know that because I've done it. All right, everybody, I hope that was informative. I hope that was helpful to you. Maybe it sparks some more questions. Here's a great question for today. What do you have in your individual first aid kit? Am I missing something? Tell me about it. And if you don't have an individual first aid kit, are you going to start one? Are you going to get one? Now, here's the story, you guys. This is a biblical principle. We see this happen in the parable of the Good Samaritan. We see Jesus imploring to us that we be ready to help people who are in need, right? I know that a lot of people teach the Good Samaritan as an allegory. I know a lot of people teach the Good Samaritan as a poo-poo to religion, and they beat up on the priest and the Levite that walk on by, and they leave that dude laying and bleeding in the ditch. I'm going to tell you that I believe, as a pastor, I believe that parable was taught for one purpose and one purpose only. Be kind to people in need. Be kind to poor people. Be kind to people who are in need. And I think that the quickest way to be able to be kind to people in need is to have what they need. Teachers, pastors, do you work in a school or a church? You should have an IFAK kit stuck up underneath your pulpit so that you can render aid if a wackadoo walks in and tries to do harm and bring evil into the house of God or into a place of education where innocent kids are trying to learn. Be ready to help those people out. And the quickest way to do that is get some basic first aid skills and get a basic first aid kit. And I'm not talking about Band-Aids and ibuprofen here, folks. I'm talking about stop that bleed. That is super, super important. Do it, guys. It's awesome. Listen, I love you, but that love pales in comparison to how much God loves you. Rest in that love this week. Go Kirk yourself.